out there and important to mention that. Okay, let's go. Eddie, Rhode Island. Eddie, what's going on? You're next.
Clinical trialist, and I was just a little taken aback about how dismissive you were of this guy that spoke about the Pfizer vaccine. In fact, in mid-September, Pfizer reported that they were going to issue the file to the FDA for emergency use at 32 outcomes. So the fact that they waited till 94 outcomes, now I think it's more powerful statistically to do it that way, but the fact that they delayed, and they could have done anywhere in between if they were willing to petition at 32, is unusual. And the fact that it came 1 week after the election, for argument's sake, they could easily have petitioned by the time they got to 64 outcomes. So I wouldn't dismiss, so flippantly, that there was something political about this. And then you did appropriately point out that why did they go right to Biden? The other issue that came up in Biden's speech is that is the issue of masking. Masking has been studied since the 1918 flu pandemic, and in fact, in the modern era, where there was concern about flu pandemics since 2000, there are at least a dozen randomized controlled trials with influenza as the outcome, and there's absolutely no benefit of masking, whether it's in the home setting, university settings. There was even a Hajj pilgrim study. But these are all randomized controlled trials, which is our gold standard for evidence for devices, therapeutics, etc. 0 have been positive. And in fact, when all the data from these individual studies has been meta-analyzed, including by the CDC's House Journal Emerging Infectious Diseases, including by the Annals of Internal Medicine, which is a preeminent internal medicine journal, they still can't find a statistically significant effect. So if there were small effects, for example, Alex, in these individual studies that might have been missed, that's why you do a meta-analysis. And they still found no effect. The other thing that's of particular concern now is you could say, well, maybe COVID-19 is behaving somewhat differently than influenza. The Danes have completed a 6,000-person randomized controlled trial. They have been rejected at several high-impact peer-reviewed journals. From what I understand, New England Journal, Lancet, Annals of Internal Medicine. Their lead investigators have basically leaked out to the Danish press in their comments that this is likely a null study, and that's why it's not getting published. They've been urged to go the preprint route. They're very stubborn. They won't do this. But the bottom line is, it appears to be in the COVID era, a 6,000 person, which is an enormous trial for masking versus non-masking, and it's completely null. So, we're masking is a talisman. It's a grasping at straws. There's really, again, we base these things on randomized controlled trials. There's 0 evidence that it's effective.
Yeah, and that's in my exact opinion as well, unless you're all going to wear properly fitted N95s all the time, which no one's even suggesting that, even the mass truthers. So I'm with you there. I want to go back to Eddie, it's great information, by the way. And I want to go back to just to clarify.
It's Andy, by the way. I'm sorry. My voice is a little not coming through.
Oh, boy. The screener will be going to our chastisement area again later, because that's 2 names.
It's fine. It doesn't make a difference.
No, that's okay. No, he has to get chastised for this. This is important. It's important part of the show. So, Andy, apologize. So I love the mask analysis. Going back to the Pfizer thing, and the timing of it, I was not trying to be flippant. I'm trying to be efficient, because I'm trying to, these shows are very tight these days. But we learned in October, they were very public, that they were going to release results in November. It seemed like the results were solidified over the weekend, and they were released Monday. I don't dig that they told Biden and not Trump what was going on. And I also think that they gave some pretty irresponsible statements to the press, but none of that really matters to me. The only thing that really matters to me is that they really did for sure have this information, and they held it back to make sure Biden wins. Though it wouldn't shock me if that had happened, partially because Trump has been so hostile towards drug companies, and Biden won't be.
Right.
But what am I missing in the timeline?
What I'm trying to make is that they really did push, and I was not in favor of this, because 32 outcomes you can. So in other words, basically, what they were arguing was, well, if we see 26 infections in the control group and only 6 in the placebo group, we should rush ahead and get approval. I thought that was ridiculous because obviously, Alice, with those few numbers, it can go in either direction very quickly. But that was actually their plan. And then their other interim analysis was about double that number.
So you're saying they might have timed
back in September. They were
that's
arguing this
possible.
back in September. So it does make their timing a little bit suspicious. That's all.
So you're saying they probably could have accelerated the timeline and they could have given good news a week ago. Okay.
Instead of waiting, look, it's better that they waited for 94 outcomes. I think it's better statistically. It's better scientifically.
Yeah.
However,
right,
to say that they were purely doing this on the basis of science I think stretches credibility a little bit considering their original plan.
Andy, I think that this is one where it's I think politically, I don't know if this is a winner for Trump to whine about it, but I find that your added context is very meaningful, and I'm grateful you called in. Thanks for the challenge. Appreciate it.